There are rising industrial concerns about copycat insulation delivering lower performance than advertised. Hello, my name is Alan Mark, and this is Industry Visions. Our special guest from Pittsburgh Corning, Mr. Steve Oslica, Director of Marketing.
Thank you.
Steve, welcome to our broadcast today. Steve, how big is this problem of basically copycat insulation? Insulation that may look like the original, but obviously it's not, and it can't perform anywhere near what it says it's going to perform.
Well, I think to put it into its proper context, it needs to be established that it's not only insulation. A number of building products are dealing with the same problems that the insulation folks are. There's been instances of inferior drywall and other products that have in fact been catastrophic to building owners and homeowners. In our case, we're specifically looking at upstart new manufacturers of cellular glass that are not putting the product together in a way that meets the generally accepted testing and performance requirements that we do.
Steve, with these copycat insulation companies, what is the difference between them and foam glass?
Well, there are significant differences basically along several lines. The first is in order to make a good, consistent quality cellular glass, one has to make sure that the glass batch is consistent and controlled. We take great pains, whether we're manufacturing our own glass or if we're using recycled glass, to control that glass batch significantly. We have seen instances where some of those glass batches are not controlled. They're basically stacking up scrap glass outside their facility and then pulling those materials in, crushing them and foaming them. You don't get a good product when you don't control your glass batch. That's the first thing. The second thing, of course, is quality and consistency in the manufacturing process. If you're making that same product in that same production line 24/7, 365, you're going to get a consistency of that product, both in thermal and in physical properties. The third thing is, of course, how it's presented to the customer, and that is, of course, how it's packaged, how it goes out to the fabrication facility where they take those blocks, make them into billets, cut it into pipe covering and tag segments, etc. If you have quality from the beginning to the end till it gets on the pipe or the vessel, that's purely the difference maker right there.
Steve, what are some of the consequences with companies that try to save money with one of these copycat products in the short term? What's the long-term effect of that?
Well, first of all, if you have a system that's designed for 3 inches of cellular glass that is operating at a certain service temperature, and that design is based on a certain thermal factor, a K factor of say 0.29, and all of a sudden there's for lack of a better word, a counterfeit product that's used in at that same thickness, but its thermal factor or K factor is much higher, then the insulation is in fact inferior from the beginning. You're not getting the performance that you're supposed to get virtually from the beginning. You may in fact need 4 or 5 inches of insulation with what looks like a similar product when in fact it's not.
What is the service factor? You know that foam glass is manufactured on multiple continents in the world. What is the service consequence with using one of these subgrade insulation companies?
Well, there are two functions of service we look at. The first is, of course, the quality of how the product is delivered to the job site. The second is application assistance, project startup assistance, of course, post-construction inspection. Most of these companies that produce cellular glass do not have systems in place to provide those services. Pittsburgh Corning happens to be the only company that does that globally. So virtually, if you're buying a piece of cellular glass, you can be assured that A, it's going to be delivered to the job site in good order, and B, if there is an issue relative to installation or post-construction inspection, that can be handled by Pittsburgh Corning technicians around the world.
Foam glass, cellular glass insulation, it's the original, it's the real thing, it's the one that you need to demand on industrial projects globally. Steve, thanks so very much for being with us on Industry Visions.
Thanks for having us.
Alan Mark, till next time on Industry Visions, goodbye everybody.